Well, ladies and gentlemen, looks like some of the fears regarding Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is starting to be proven true. Apparently, they just recently released a patch today at the time of recording this video on the 26th. They just released a surprise patch for Final Fantasy VII Remake that apparently censors Tifa in a couple of cutscenes, mainly regarding her boobs, obviously. Now, this is something we've been talking about for a while, and it makes you wonder, if they're going back and censoring Remake, right, the first game, what are they going to do into this character in Rebirth?
This is the worst day of my life.
So let's find out more about this, guys, and let's dive deep into this article. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So we have a headline from Dextero that reads, Final Fantasy VII Remake surprise patch adds more clothes to Tifa, because clearly that's what everybody's been asking for, right? The entire conversation on the internet right now is all about Tifa and how people were happy that they're showcasing her as a ultra feminine character in a bathing suit and everything like that. People were cheering it on, myself included, and now apparently they decided to go the other way. And the reasons for doing this, well, we're going to find out. Final Fantasy VII Remake only covers a small portion of the storyline from the original game, ending as the party leaves Midgar. This means that the developers didn't need all the designs planned out for characters and locations appearing in future installments. One area planned for the future game did appear in Final Fantasy VII Remake, but only in brief scenes. Cloud has flashbacks to the Nibelheim incident where Sephiroth goes on a rampage and destroys his hometown. The Nibelheim flashback is featured prominently in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and its demo. This has resulted in a design change made for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth being retroactively applied to Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, again, I don't know if this is intentional. I don't know if you want to call this Sweet Baby Inc. throwing their ugly heads around. I don't know if you want to call this the ethics department throwing its ugly head around. I don't really know what's going on. All I know is that ultimately it looks like Tifa did get some censorship applied not only to the new game, but to the old game as well. So you can't even enjoy what it was prior because they decided to go back and fix that too. And like the article says, it's all retroactive. It says, according to the game's Steam page, a surprise patch has been released for Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate. According to users on the game's community page, the main change involves Tifa's outfit during the Nibelheim flashback. In the Final Fantasy VII Remake, the younger version of Tifa wearing a cowboy hat and outfit was seen in brief flashbacks. In Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, her design was altered to give her a black undershirt covering her cleavage. Now, again, a lot of people are going to say what they want to say about this, right? I obviously do agree that this is censorship, ladies and gentlemen. This is 100% censorship. And they're trying to use the aspect of, well, Tifa was underage in his flashback, so that's why we're doing it. Bullshit, okay? Absolute bullshit, because you would have did it with the adult one, too. We all know that to be the case. Sweet Baby Inc. and the ethics department are rearing their ugly head here. Now we know that for a fact. It says it bears mentioning that Tifa was around 15 during the Nibelheim flashback, so it's unsurprising that Square Enix would extend her outfit in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The younger version of Tifa was only seen briefly in Final Fantasy VII Remake, but she has a much bigger role in the sequel, so more consideration was given to her design. The patch not only changes Tifa's outfit in all of the flashback scenes, but also changes the end credits, likely to add the names of those responsible for the edit. So, obviously, guys, this is a pretty decent change regarding the character. It only leads questions, right? This starts to lead questions about what's going to happen in the upcoming game. Are we going to get a censored version of Tifa? Are we going to get the true to nature version of Tifa? Are we going to get censored versions of the other female characters like Yuffie and Aerith? Are we going to get censored versions of everything? We already know that they censored the panty scene, right? We already know that they did that, and now it seems like they're doing little things like adding a t-shirt to hide her cleavage. I mean, why else would you want to do that? There is literally zero reason to do it other than the people in charge now are not the same people who were in charge when you made Remake. Even though it's only a few years ago, still, there's a lot that can happen now over the course of years that people can completely change. Like, you can have completely different departments. You can have that ethics department now that everybody talks about. And I'll be real with you. They're trying to say that, or a lot of people on the internet trying to say that the ethics department was basically nuked off the face of the earth. Like, they fired them or whatever. I don't think that's true. I think all they did was they removed the mentioning of the ethics department on their website because they know what's going to happen if they talk about departments like that. They know that the backlash that they get online from having departments like that is pretty severe. So I figure that they're going to want to hide it now more than anything. They're going to definitely want to not showcase it as much because that's going to get them in trouble. Now, I do have the picture on Twitter of what's being mentioned here. For some reason, the article doesn't really showcase it, which is very odd, but we're going to show it on my Twitter so you guys can see exactly what it looks like. So I have it pulled up here so you guys can see the difference. I don't know if you guys can actually notice it, but on the right, this is the original, and on the left, you have the censored version. Now, this is heavily censored, okay? This is very, very censored. It's prominent. It's not a little shirt that they added a little black here and there. No, like they actually covered damn near the whole entire thing. I don't know who was offended by this. I don't know who took offense to this entire cutscene to the point where they had to actually censor it. But clearly, somebody made the conscious decision over at Square Enix to censor Tifa. Somebody must have, or in this case, an entire department probably decided it was for the best. And because they're so bought out, it seems like by ESG, or at least that's the way they're going, unfortunately, they decided to censor something and nobody had a problem with. Nobody during this cutscene, nobody that I know of anyway, was looking at this cutscene as meant to be an emotional cutscene, right? It gives you the entire flashback of what happened at Nibelheim. Nobody was looking at this cutscene and going, ooh, boobs. And if they did, it was probably for a split second, and then they went back to focusing on the story and what actually mattered. No real gamer looked at this and said, oh, look, they're sexualizing Tifa during an extremely emotional scene. This completely defeats the entire purpose. I don't even know, ladies and gentlemen. I really, it's frustrating because what they're doing, these are small changes. Yes, I know. I know a lot of people out there are going to be like, oh, you're just mad because you can't sexualize a video game character, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, we can turn that argument on its face, can't we? Because we can say you're just upset and you got offended over some fake boobs. Like you got so offended, you got so put back by fake digital titties that you had to cover them up. That's hilarious in itself. But again, they're never going to look at it that way. They're only going to look at you being mad, and that's it. Ultimately, for me, this does bring a little bit of worry. I don't know if they're going to censor more of the game. If they're censoring small things like this, you got to imagine some of the bigger stuff, some of the more important stuff that they would probably deem problematic, they're going to censor it or remove it completely. Because if they're going to focus on something small like this, then the bigger stuff, I guarantee you, will not be there like it was in the original. So time will tell what's going to happen. The game is only a couple of days away from being released. I will obviously be picking it up day one because I have always mentioned I'm a Final Fantasy shill. I don't doubt that, but I can look at stuff objectively and say I can't help but be a little bit worried about what's going on. Not only that, there's a ton of conversations going around about LGBTQ NPCs and all that, and all this gay shit being forced into the game. So time is going to tell what's going to happen, but I am still being a little bit hopeful, at least somewhat hopeful, that they try to make it a good game. So we'll find out what happens, and of course, when we do, I will gladly report on it. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.
The worst day of your life so far.